Hold on. So I rolled in. I had my earphones on, so I wouldn't have to put them on when I rolled into frame. I just had to plug them in. It was actually, when you really think about it, it was actually genius. Um,
Yeah.
it was absolutely nothing. Oh, I'm almost out of breath from that. This tells you. This Don't take this as a lesson that exercise is pointless, because it's not. Tyler, I'm not even talking to the audience here. I just have really terrible like airways. I'm like, I have like, I don't know what you would call it. Petite asthma. I used to use an inhaler. I don't actually have asthma, but I clearly have something wrong with my lungs. I think it's because I smoked while in the womb. I did it. Also, what you just said before we started about how you should be closer. You look so small right now. You look tiny.
Well, it's because I tried adding a mic, so it looked like I had a mic. And, and the way where it is.
Are you actually using that?
Does it sound like I am? I don't know. I don't know if I'm using it or not.
What if it's literally just your voice, and it just makes Mike sound worse?
Does it?
Maybe we should don't stop! Don't do that! Do not punch. There's no bullying microphones in this.
Did it sound like it was a microphone being bullied?
Yes, it did.
Then it's the microphone.
Do you know what's so interesting about this is that the lighting makes me look so much more ghostly than you, and that's just incorrect. I'm not particularly tanned, fellow, right? But I do have. I'm not actually white. I'm not literally.
Yeah, well, I am.
White? Yeah, and yet you just look pink, like a salmon.
All right, we're here today, a day earlier for us. It'll probably be the same day for you guys, but we couldn't keep it in. We couldn't keep it contained. The news that has broken. Harry, you can't just sit on that face.
All right, stop it. Okay, we got to start with less interesting things.
Irrelevant stuff.
No, not irrelevant. I mean Halloween, which I think events are going to be brought up a little bit later on, but Halloween happened.
Yeah.
The skulls freeze you. That's it. That's all it is. I mean, you made a really interesting and correct point, by the way, about them not being able to get their story straight with what the skull actually is. Because the more lines you hear as well, it becomes so clear they just did it as normal, as if it's like a long beard delivery.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they kind of messed up. I don't know what to say, because as the actual event, as it were, the double performance point encounter, as it were, it is probably the best one still. It's not too difficult to kill, and it can actually pose a small hazard. Not that we've been frozen by it. In fact, the only thing I've seen so far is it freeze spitballers, which is pretty awesome, actually. That's quite nice, I must say. It's like, I didn't expect that at all. As in, I always forget how easy it is to set a spitball on fire or freeze it, because they're just extremely susceptible to everything, because even though they're giant, like, spitballs are an enemy that they look... Yeah, exactly, they're a big plant. They always take more damage than they look like they should because of their size. Not that they are like low in health. They're just, they're like very squishy for their size.
They're one of the biggest enemies in the game, right? Like,
until are they not?
Up there.
Are they not still?
Probably caretaker.
Oh, the caretaker. Yeah, I forgot about the caretaker.
The biggest.
My hair, isn't that awesome? The volume on that. No.
Turn down the volume.
It's so rude. But I don't know if I really care to talk about Halloween that much specifically.
The slightest,
not specifically.
Really, yeah, I mean, it's just a reason to play again. It's not like anything more than that, right? It's nothing worth like dissecting like we always did. And I think once we realized that, we stopped dissecting it. maybe Facecam was a mistake. Maybe maybe we can't be trusted with this.
Well, I mean, no. The problem is that we use natural lighting, or at least I do. That's the problem with it. Apart from that, it's fine.
This is natural lighting, and then got a little bit of supplemental here, as you can see by my hand.
It's quite. I don't have a single light in my room that is that strong. Like not even close to it. I mean,
my lamp is not strong. I mean, it took me getting this close for it to appear.
Okay, I guess. Well, then mine are just exceptionally weak, I guess.
There it is.
Oh wow! Look at that. See, yeah, but that's like something that's supposed to actually specifically like light a desk, isn't it? For like physical work, right?
That's what I wanted it for.
Yeah. I don't have that. I don't have anything like that.
Did get one?
No.
Loser.
No, I've got this. I've got the rays of the sun bleaching me. I look like it's like SpongeBob when he gets sun bleached. Literally, my face is glowing. It's amazing. I don't feel like I'm getting tanned though. No, but what I meant by the events possibly being mentioned at some point later in the episode is because I would say that they, up until now, they were becoming, at least for me certainly, less and less of a actual good reason to play. Just really, really basic incentive. As in, I guess you could call them kind of archaic in just using assignments as like a way to get people to play, because I feel like, especially with what we're about to get, we've definitely moved beyond assignments being actually, I would say, the main incentive. I don't think they are anymore. I mean, you could argue they haven't been since season started. That the performance pass has been the main incentive to get people to play, but the point is we're about to get another one, quite a big one. I think the interesting thing is how big it is specifically from this update, because it's going to be the biggest example of this new system going forward. Because you know what we're talking about. I think people know what we're talking about. But what I'm saying is the fact that they're adding 4 in this case, and you have to earn all 4 of them for each weapon. That's what I'm talking about. So this update is actually placed itself in a really good position to do a lot of good on its own, despite the fact it's introducing something that seasons are going to pick. In fact, I'd say it's introducing 2 things that seasons are going to pick up and use from now on. And that's what we need to get into. Basically, what happened the other day, on Wednesday, was they put out the preview for the first maintenance update, which kind of just shocked everyone in that it is anything, basically. I think it's kind of the reaction.
It's not just anything. It was everything for a lot of people. It was everything they could have hoped for and then some. Like, it is...
exactly what it is.
It shook, like, the entire scene, really, right? Like, like everyone all of a sudden was like, oh shit, Deep Rock, what? We thought they stopped caring about Deep Rock. This is unexpected. And it was, even for the people that didn't think they dropped it, it was still unexpected.
Well, yeah, we should probably start with that though. I don't necessarily mean where we were at. Like, I more so just mean what we were expecting from the maintenance update before this. Because I guess I feel stupid, but I also don't feel stupid. You could say that we underestimated them, but they did not make any attempt to make it seem like this was going to happen. I don't think we were actually in the wrong to have low expectations. I think they very deliberately made us have low expectations because that's better. Because what it means is if low expectations are easier to meet, therefore it's much harder to disappoint people. But it's also much easier to surprise people if you set low expectations. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, them doing that then gives you high expectations for like the next thing. That's the problem. I mean, it might not. I think I'm doing a good job of keeping my expectations in check. But I'm sort of just focusing on the next thing, which is this update, which is very good. But I think the expectation beforehand was actually, for me, it was basically everything. Well, no, it wasn't even everything. It wasn't even everything except the weapon maintenance thing, because I wasn't expecting any weapon balancing in this update either. So we were really lowballing it for what this was going to be. But I mean, once again, I think that was on them.
Thing, but yeah, like they well, because they hadn't really talked much about it either, right? Like I don't think it was Like, they didn't talk about it as much as they could have beforehand until now, obviously. And it's, I mean, technically they're still not given the specifics, and they probably don't even know the specifics yet. This is as soon as they've realized, like, they've now probably got everything they were going to do with it, right? I mean, they probably knew about the gun thing for a little while. They had to make the frameworks, but like
Frameworks.
probably all the
They're not
details of it,
frameworks, Tyler.
then paint jobs, whatever. Like the contents they probably only just figured out, and they don't even know the details yet. Like the spitballer thing, not spitballer.
Septic
Septic
spreader.
spreader's projectile being shoot down.
Yeah,
that seems like they added that literally.
Let me explain that, by the way, because obviously that I didn't meant. Well, I mean, if anyone's gone back to the video, you would have seen the pinned comment. But yeah, I didn't miss that in the video. It wasn't there when I read it. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
They patched it in. And I think we'll get to that because I think we're gonna. We can jump between points, but I still want to go through it sort of linear, like chronologically first, in the order of the post gives the information. But it was still, not only was it weird for them to do that, I suppose, but it's also weird that they chose to do that at all, because I assumed that they were just going to stop at, when it came to the enemy balancing, I assumed that they were going to stop at the priorities, and I didn't see the spreader as a priority. But and I don't think it is. It's not in the top. It's not the very top. But it's also, why not? People are still complaining about it. There are still plenty of people complaining about it, so it makes perfect sense. The only thing is, we never really. I guess this is going to be a bit arrogant, but it's not like we ever gave ever thought about it in the sense of actually coming up with anything to make the spreader better. We never did. We had plenty of conversations about rockpox and stingtails, but not the spreader. And they just so happened to come up with something that we didn't think of. Which I just respect. I respect it whenever they do that. Whenever they come up with something we didn't think of and it's good. Which
apparently someone else did come up with it.
Yes. Yes.
Like in the Access Chronos video, obviously he took his fair share of credit for the weapons idea, but then apparently someone else came up with the downable spreader projectile. But yeah, we didn't nail this one on the head, Harry. I don't think we lowballed it. We didn't come up with many ideas because we didn't know there was many to come up with. I think was the main part. Plus, and this is the main. I wouldn't say the main thing, but they aren't actually seemingly tackling the rockpox the way people would have hoped and thought. Really, like a lot of people see the being close to rockpox, being the issue. Like that thing is one of the main issues with rockpox, and that doesn't seem to be touched at all. They're just gonna interact with how often you'll get it, obviously, and how easily it is to get. Which I guess that means they really.
Well, is that not that? Is that not that issue? I don't see.
Yeah,
those things are directly connected. Surely.
It's still it's just kind of bullshit being near one and having a thing pop that like 70% infects you. Like even if when you then get infected it's not going to be as bad anymore, it's still kind of bullshit. And that's something that they're not addressing. It seems.
Well,
but once again, I feel like we don't know
the thing
that
is,
yet.
No, I think they are addressing the parts, I think, that people want to be addressed, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the exact changes people want. If I were to actually read it verbatim, it's under the subheading of rockpox mitigation. We've been looking at simple ways to make rockpox effects less harsh, like making it easier to break out of when you're stuck. Final tweaks still to be decided. So I think that's important to take note of. It's kind of still, well, I guess just not 100% confirmed exactly what they're going to do with it. And so I guess something that needs to be sort of out there is the idea of this update very much so just sort of catering to things anyway. That is kind of the name of the game, as it were, for this update. It's just kind of just doing things for the people. So I see no... But at the same time, if you look at the season toggle, which is obviously the first big part of it, there are aspects of that don't exactly play into literally every demand that people have in regards to that. And I don't exactly know where to start with the season toggle specifically, aside from the fact that it's well, thank God they're doing it. I guess it's the obvious thing to start with. And
Yeah.
no matter what, it's still gonna please a lot of people. Myself included, just mainly because I like it when they do things like this, not because I actually inherently need this stuff to go away. I wouldn't mind small meteors fucking off. I mean, that's so I'm down for that. That's actually it. I mean, I don't mind all the other stuff actually, but it's just a darn good thing that they're doing it at all. And I think most aspects of it are how they should be as well.
Yeah. It is interesting though, because what is going to happen to this once the season ends? Because that switch, theoretically, they could leave it there, right? Where you could, I don't know, just turn back on the season next season, if you wanted to play with more Rockbox, or there's that kind of option available, maybe. Or this is going to be a kind of feature that, like the Switch itself will continue, but what it does is going to change every season. Like whatever next season's feature is, we will be able to turn it off whether or not we like it. Like at the end, like that from now on, the seasonal content once you finish the pass will be optional. Like if that's something that is more the point of this going forward, then that's pretty cool. I think.
Well, that is that's the first kicker, I suppose. And I don't know if you realised you just said it. It's the fact that you do have to finish the performance pass, which I want to point out. I think is obvious. I think should have been obvious. Yeah, I've still seen. Well, I've seen one person. The one person I saw complain about it was quite upset, but it was just the one person. But they were really annoyed. It's like Rockbox is the reason I'm not playing anyway. It's like, huh, that's interesting. But then you have to consider just the very basic idea of like, I guess just creative authority, where it's just like, no, at least actually play the content as much as you're supposed to, and then you can turn it off. You know. But at the same time,
it is literally, it's like engage with our content for this minimal amount of like time that we think you should.
And that's what made me really start thinking about how this feature is going to be utilized in the future. Like, will it be available? For example, will the season 5 toggle be available from the start of season 5? Is what I'm wondering. Is that the plan? I can't really tell from the post, and I don't know if it even should be. But I suppose if it's going to happen, then it also should be. And then that obviously brings up the really awkward question of how long are seasons actually going to be from now on, aka after season 5? Would it make, if they are going to be a year, for example, does it make sense for the toggle for each given season to actually be implemented afterwards? Because it kind of inherently adds on to what they're going to have to do every time they make a season, which is also make that theoretical season neutral state specific to that season that's coming up. And the question is, should they do that? Because all that's going to do is make them spend extra time adding in a feature that lets people just not engage with the new content, basically. And it's just like, that just seems really bizarre. But at the same time, I think they probably are going to do that. I think.
Yeah, but that idea and that thought process is a lot worse if you could switch that switch on at the beginning.
You'd be cut in half by the sun.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but like basically, but if obviously you have to finish the pass, then it's basically that it's just a peace offering. Like if you didn't enjoy this season, fair enough, you can turn it off. Which ideally, if they carry it over to season 5, maybe people won't want to turn it off, and that's the best case scenario, really. But you can't really decide that, and they can't decide that. But I think going forward, this is a solid thing. It's a safety feature essentially, right? Which has been needed this season and probably last season. I wouldn't mind it last season either. But yeah, it's I think it's good. I just hope that it carries forward and isn't just like a crutch for this season alone. Like if it's now a feature that once you finish the pass you can turn off the season, that's cool. Then that's a bit off.
Wait, hold on. I think you're having a bit of a
future to see.
I think you're having a bit of a connection issue there. I think we lost about the
Maybe
last
you're
5
having a
seconds.
connection issue.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm recording, so.
Yeah, no, it's definitely me. New internet soon though, so
Really?
that should go well. Yeah, 30th.
Yeah, because I think in what you were just saying, I think there was a caveat at the end that you put in, right? Some a little negative, right? I think we missed that.
Yeah, if this is like a permanent feature, cool. If from now on every season you can optionally end it if you finish the pass, that's cool. Because it basically means that if you don't like the season, grind it really, really far hard. Maybe just play the events really, really hard, and you can play it to like a minimum. But if this is just a feature only implemented for season 4 because it's that bad, that they had to add like an opt-out option just for this season alone, then that's not great. That's not a great like look. I would go with.
I mean, because based on the other half of the update, I would say that this one specifically, this maintenance update specifically, is adding things that are going to be staples from now on. That's what I would hope, because that's what is. But the thing is, you could easily bring up the fact that that is stated about the weapon maintenance and not stated about the season toggle. It's stated that the maintenance system is going to be a thing every season. Well, there's going to be a new set of skins to earn every season, but it's not stated that the season toggle is going to be a recurring thing specifically. I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't mention the future of that feature at all. It's very specific to season 4, which makes sense because it could be the case of if we are looking at, and I think we are looking at longer waits between seasons. I'm not saying it is going to be here. I don't know. Longer though, absolutely. And I think, which means like, is it going to be the case where they're just going to do it in the next maintenance update after any season? Is that how it's going to be? Because that could be fine. I think that could be okay if that's the implication. Although I don't know if I would necessarily want every maintenance update to be used for that. Also, we don't really know the status of maintenance updates post season 5 anyway. And I don't think they thought about that either. So maybe we probably shouldn't. I don't know if we should be thinking about that.
I think it feels like they're like 100% sure of what they're essentially the plan is up until they launch Road Core, but then it seems like they've not thought further than that. At least it feels that way. That they're like, all right, maintenance update, season 5 Road Core. We know what we're doing. We know how we're doing it. Let's do this.
I mean, it does make sense though, because obviously it leaves things quite uncertain for Deep Rock after season 5. But you just think about it from their perspective. Their workload is sorted out, absolutely. And also, because of things like the weapon maintenance, for example, system, that's will give season 5 more legs, and we don't know what else season 5 could bring in that capacity anyway. I mean, obviously, just having fresh new content will give the game breath anyway. But that's something this update will do as well. I mean, we still need to get through sort of the nitty gritty of the toggle though. If we want to go through specifics, well, obviously you can switch it back on. There is that. But there's something that it doesn't exactly, in my opinion, doesn't really explain exactly, which is what actually happens to the performance pass. They call it a toggle for season content. And by my intuition, and this is the problem, I kind of had to intuit this, but I believe the pass is you still can progress the performance pass. Basically, because, and the reason why I believe that to be the case, well, first of all, they call it a like a content toggle, right? Not a performance pass toggle. And it says things like, well, in one of the bullet points for what will happen if you toggle the season off, the chance of encountering these things will go down. Like the events and all that. And it says, underneath that, it says, of course, doing this will make it harder to obtain play carts, and it also be harder to complete Lithophage Outbreak season challenges. So that the implication there is that the season challenges are still active, therefore the pass is still active. So, which is, I think, brings up to...
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just simply saying that I think that's fucking obvious. Like, they're not turning off the pass in any way, shape, or form. It is literally just tuning down the content, everything else untouched. I think that is kind of obviously what it is.
If you're still able to progress the pass, after when you have the season content off, why do you have to finish the pass? That's kind of weird, right? That is weird.
Well,
to think about. I don't inherently mean it's a weird decision. I don't think they shouldn't stop. I don't think they should stop you from progressing the part. So I think the fact that those two things are present. Why is it that you have to finish it then if they're going to let you progress it still, but you're only progressing it beyond 100? It's kind of weird when you think about it, right?
It's basically, I don't know. I think it's then why would they stop you, and why would you need like, and why wouldn't it stop you? It's just it's I don't know why it should have any effect on it, and I think that's what they thought. It shouldn't. It literally should just be that, like, as a consequence of turning down the content, the challenges might be a bit more difficult. Like that's it, and play carts will be a bit rarer. Like
Yeah.
it is not relevant to the season pass at all, unless except for the fact that you have to complete it to unlock the switch. That's it. Like, as soon as the switch is unlocked, I think the performance pass is essentially irrelevant to it. At that point, it is just, do you want to do the content or not, or do you want to quickly get some play cards? If that's just wrap that up, like that's it. I don't think for even a second they considered ending the pass there. Like, if you don't have the switch on, you don't get any points.
But in that same vein of, and I guess this might also be something that should be obvious, but does the cosmetic tree factor into this at all? Because I would say, based on the words given, well, the fact that it isn't mentioned, I would say it's not factored in. I guess you just finish the pass, and that's how you get the toggle.
Yeah. Well, the way that it's saying is that you would finish the pass before you could finish the pass before you complete the tree, but if you turn off the content, the tree will get harder because you will earn play like hearts slower because they'll be less often.
I almost wish I didn't finish it.
Will be more difficult because they're not guaranteed.
Didn't finish it. It would take a lot longer to finish afterwards.
Yeah. But I mean, would you? I guess that's. I mean, maybe this is what we want to do after all this stuff. But would you turn the switch off? Is probably a question.
Yes.
We want to answer.
I would try it.
Yeah.
I want to. Well, first of all, right. I like I said, I'm not inherently sick of things, but if it does get rid of small meteors, like for the most part, they pushes them away. Yeah.
It would also push away the Corruptor and the Big Meteor, though. Which, I mean, Big Meteor, it is what it is. But Corruptor, how often do you bump into him still?
I'm not in love with him. I don't really care. I don't really that much, to be honest.
Right.
Also, is he what?
Is he worn out? Like, you've had him enough times now to where he's not that big of a deal when you do find him.
After I realised that I don't actually hold the decision to basically have your build have no bearing on the fight whatsoever. Once I realised I don't think that's actually a good idea, I stopped really caring for encountering Harold. I don't really. And the thing is, Harold isn't mentioned at all, like by name. Obviously not by name, but the Lich Corruptor isn't mentioned at all, and I think it probably should be, because that's up there. That's not only that an event, that's also one of the enemies that people want to be tweaked. And obviously it could be, that could come on when we get the patch notes for the update. That could be under all the changes to the seasonal content or to the rock book specifically. That's perfectly possible. But yeah, maybe Harold should have been mentioned. But also, one of the things is Lithophage Corruption Zone will disappear from the mission map. I want to see the map as it's supposed to be seen, just normal, true to itself. It would have been a year since. It would have been, actually, it would probably be more than a year, because season 3 was like early November, and this will be at least mid-November. So it's going to have been more than a year since we've seen the map normal. The old map, and I just kind of want that back.
Limited biomes there.
Yeah, like I have very little against the game as it currently is, but I still would like to change it. And even if this is technically a regression, it's still a change, because it's been more than a year since it's been in that pre-season 3 state. So yeah, that's just as good as it being in a new set of paint, really, a new coat of paint. Also, there are still things like the arcade area that's been added, that's regardless of Rockbox, So yeah, Space Rig isn't literally going back to its old
and stuff.
Well, I guess so. It's not going to get rid of that stuff, is it? It's not going to get rid of the new grenades.
Yeah, well, it just turns off. it turns off everything we had during these 2 seasons. It just forgets about
I
them.
guess someone could. I haven't seen anyone question that, and I think that's good. I think people understand because seasonal content and content that a season adds are not inherently the same thing, and that's been proven by it's been proven by this, and it's been proven by changes made to the rival content after that was over. It was changes to the rival content. Yeah, no shit. The new weapons that they had in season 1 and 2 aren't seasonal content. They're new content that those updates that were called seasons happen to add. That's what they are. All the robots and shit like that, and the rockbox, that's the seasonal content. And when you think about it, nothing else is. None of the other parts are actually seasonal content. Even like sort of the weird little things like randomizer or the jet boots. They're not seasonal content. Although I do wonder if there's going to be any tweaks to those. I mean, randomizer probably not. But I wonder, like the jetty boot spawn rate, for example. I don't know if there's going to touch that.
The randomizer, does that still work, or has it worked? Is it? Have they fixed it yet? I'm not in touch. I haven't used the randomizer in months, probably since they added it. Really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that is. I mean, I don't think it's been changed, so it probably should be tweaked a little bit in this update. We'll see. It could be for the next one.
I think this is slightly worth mentioning, not now, but at some point. I completely forgot the randomizer was in the game, and I'm surprised you remember. When have you used it? Ever?
I have, of course. Yeah, of course I have. What do you mean? Have I ever used? Of course I've used it, but yeah, it's not that important to me. I guess that's probably one of the biggest.
Really anyone else either.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of just the biggest problem with season 4, I guess. And it's something that I've realised, and we're about to, because I think we're about to get into the next part. I think of the update, the next half, the other big thing. But it was something sort of I realised thinking about this update and the problems with season 4, because obviously, actually we could talk about this weird little aspect now of the guy who said that the first maintenance update could be better than season 4. I mean, before we knew anything about it, I was tempted to say probably in terms of reception. But when you think about it, if this update wasn't actually going to add anything, I don't think it would have had enough eyes on it for it to have been better received in season 4. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just the fact that it's doing what it's doing at all, the fact that literally everything in it is just a positive is. It's going to be better received than season 4. Probably even season 3, maybe even season 2.
It's not even it's not. They're not just a positive either. It is what everyone perceives to be a positive. It is unanimously known that these are the things the community want, which is vastly different to season 4, where I'm not sure you could label. Okay, copy and pasting loadouts is probably the only content that people ask for, and maybe the jetty boots, not the arcade game, but just the actual boots in game, because people wanted power ups. That's probably about it. And actually, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was just someone in the office. I think
that people ask for is quite important, because obviously, things like weapon balancing is almost like a constant blanket desire for any update. Basically, people kind of just want that out of any given update
all the time,
and actually,
just at any given moment. I
guess it's like there's the idea of because obviously that's was the most well-received part of season 4, actually, was just those changes. Yeah. And I wonder if that is actually... I wonder if that's more so because of season 4 being bad than that inherently being what people wanted. I'd argue it's just because that stuff is good, and the rest of season 4 kind of wasn't.
I think it was everyone was like, okay, season 4, I'm looking forward to content that I'm looking forward to. And then they saw Rockbox, and I'm like, oh. Then they saw randomize, I'm like, oh. And then all so on so forth, disappointment. And then all of a sudden, Double Barrel has become viable. Hurricane's got a new overclock. Stuff like that occurred, and people were like, holy shit, something I actually want.
Yeah, because that's
really
the stuff that that's the stuff that got the point of what makes Deep Rock Update work, basically, because aside from that, and aside from it just being a season and seasons inherently being good in bringing a performance pass for people to progress, aside from that, season 4 just completely missed the point of basically what an update kind of should be, to be honest, because what season 4 did wrong was all it did was add gameplay elements, basically. And nothing
Yeah.
else. And what I guess what if you were to treat, because I think Ghost Ship get this, even if they didn't, they at least get it now. And but the thing is, they definitely got it before season 4. But if you were to treat season 4 as an entity with intentions, season 4 didn't understand that just adding things that affect gameplay doesn't give people a reason to play, basically.
Yeah.
And this update is so much so just doing that almost specifically because obviously things like weapon balancing gives people a reason to play because it just shakes things up inherently. Like even
Yeah.
actually season 3 was not bereft of good weapon balancing. That's what, you know, the GK2 for example, and a bunch of other things got changed as well. And also just the grenades, even if they're not huge, they still create new builds to a certain extent. All of that, anything done in the realm of equipment just generates more reasons for people to play because it just exponentially increases the number of builds. But so season 4 had that a tiny bit, but this update's going to have that, but it's also going to add just loads more stuff for people to do, basically. That's kind of just the point.
Yeah.
Stuff to do. You know, new enemies, that's not something to do. That's something to fight while you're doing what you're doing, which is, in this case, what we're going to be doing is progressing these new weapon mastery things, weapon maintenance things, and that's what we're going to be doing once the update comes out. And that brings us on to that, which was obviously the big surprise.
Yeah.
No one expected it.
Yeah.
It's not literally the most game-breaking thing ever. It's just really just good and just really refreshing. Is kind of just the best way to put it. It's just nice. It's just nice to
Yeah.
see.
And I find the way they went about it slightly interesting as well. Like specifically where it is, right? You would have thought that the weapon, like levels would have been on the weapon menus. Like on, you know, when you're picking a weapon, it will have like a level on it and like XP and that and so forth. But it's not. It's not related to that menu at all. It is a seasonal thing,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
So
It's
it's
on the
found in
season terminal, which is probably mainly because the season terminal is easier and cleaner to put stuff on, right? It'll be difficult to find the space on the main thing to add all that stuff.
Yeah, because the season terminal functions more like the pause menu than the equipment terminal does. The equipment terminal is like just this weird thing with a bunch of boxes, which I guess a lot of things are. But this is what the season terminal is. It's a very cleanly built from the ground up like menu where it's just like it just has the tabs at the top that you can cycle through, so you can just add more tabs basically. The equipment terminal is only ever going to be just like the 4 classes. They can't really do anything else with it than that. But the season terminal being a bit close to more like a menu. Obviously, they're all menus in a way, but it's more like the pause menu than anything else. It's just you can just add more tabs to it basically that you can just cycle through. So it just works basically. It just works.
And then they just shoved all the weapons on there, giving them, by the looks of it, just like a little meter, a bar that you'll just fill up, and then each time you do that, cosmetic, Chechabui, really. Which I don't know that it pairs nicely with the new weapon balancing, and even if it didn't, it would still be doing the same thing essentially, where you are going to be using weapons for different reasons than normal. Like right now, you use weapons just because you were using them, right? You've basically done everything with them. Like you don't really try out new stuff because there's nothing new for you to try out. And for more normal people than you, it's basically they found the weapons they like and they're using it just because they like it. But this incentivizes, along with the weapon balancing, to try something new, right? Even if it's not that adventurous, like a different weapon on your main, right, that you don't normally use. Like, I don't know, you're an M1000 scout and that's all you ever will be. Maybe you won't be if you want the cosmetics and the level up, the GK2 or the Drac. And maybe I would argue they could implement a more class-based version of this within those things.
Yeah.
But like if you complete all of the class's weapons, then you'll get like something for the class, because that would incentivize that even more, I think, to adventure beyond your not just like all the weapons in a class, and you'll be
Yeah, I
rewarded
mean, I,
based on that.
I do think I think getting armor paint jobs in there is something that should be talked about, frankly, because yeah, that's more work, but they're already just increasing the workload from now on by adding this system, and I think something that could give it some real, like, just give this system some real prestige in the game, something very unique, is that what you're doing is not just specifically progressing something for every individual weapon, you're also working towards what you'll get. You could just focus on one class if you wanted to, and if you did, then you'd essentially get a set to show off, a whole set, not just for your weapons but for your entire character. You get an armor skin and a weapon skin, and I think that could either just be a class one where it's like there's just 4 separate tabs. It's just like you progress by playing the class, or you get it for unlocking all of the weapon ones, or something like that. Either one would work. I know which one I prefer. The one that takes longer, which is that you'd have to do get the paint job for all the weapons, and then you get it for your armor. But I think that is really worth considering. And I think I don't know if they have. That's the thing. We've got no idea if they have or not. And I think it would be valuable because this system is already doing a lot. It's like just it's doing a little. It's going to do a lot. It's going to do a lot. It's going to do more than people think. But it's just reminiscent of older updates, just adding things that just deepen the experience is basically the idea. But I think to give it some, like I said, to give it some prestige in its own right, the idea that it would reward players with basically a full cosmetic set rather than just weapon paint jobs, I think would elevate it.
But like specifically,
even
like rewarding that based on adventuring more with weapons, because I think that's I think would be the best objective at the end of it. Really, is at them. Like they always try and make you. They don't believe in mains, right? That's something they've talked about, right? They don't actually like encouraging, at the very least, people who like main one class only. And they do that via never allowing you to pick like your class specifically constantly, right? That's or like like guarantee your class all the time. Like out of the 3 overclocks like you would get in a matrix thing, your class might not be one of them. Plus, when you promote your class, like we obviously had the idea, when you promote your class you get stuff for that class, but they saw that as reinforcing the main and they didn't want to do that, so you just get a random pull. That's always been how they see things, and I think this system can be used, and already is to a certain degree, to encourage you to do different things.
It's both, actually. It's both, though, because you can just main, and you're not going to be impeded in any way. There's no, because it's not luck based. It's just based on what you use. So you could just use your main, and you'll be rewarded for that as well. So it's actually both.
And you will get all of those skins like quickly, but eventually you will have finished your main.
Yeah.
But all these other characters are going to be empty. Like you're gonna be using weapons that are max level, got on all the cosmetics. Meanwhile, there's an entire character there with like no leveled weapons, and it's just like, well, I might as well, right? You might as well just try out this other character, and then you might like him more than you thought because you're using their weapons more than you ever have before to get the cosmetics.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see though. We're gonna have to see if I get all the M1000 ones. That's probably the only weapon I can see myself not inherently getting them all.
Yeah, well, you never know. It depends what they change balance-wise.
Yeah, maybe
I
they
feel like the M1000
maybe they make it good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to want to talk about that. I think like we already have in enough detail over time that, new round of balancing's coming out. What do we think's going to happen? And I guess we kind of did that with the stubby ordeal, right? With like a couple of videos on that.
Yeah, because I was.
We think the stubby should get an overhaul.
I was thinking about what I know I want, right? But for some reason, what I know I want doesn't exactly align with what I'd expect. I had this weird thing where it's just like, what? It was difficult to tell what exactly means for them. What is called for them to give attention to something, because I guess what the season 4 balancing showed was kind of like then it wasn't actually just inherently about overclocks that were talked about, was it? They really touched some things that people don't really care for, and I think that was kind of the point. Like no one was talking about spinning death. Not that they are now, but the point is there's only so much you can do with the stuff that people keep talking about as well, and I think that's just very limiting. And I don't think they really care too much if people are talking about it or not. I think people enjoy this stuff no matter what. So I realized maybe some of the stuff that I was thinking of wasn't too stupid. Like mini shells, for example, like the warthog overclock. In that, I don't know what the position is for most people on that, but that's something I can see getting buffed, possibly, maybe because
Yeah, I think
mainly because
especially with them
Storm,
saying buffs all around.
yeah.
right?
Well, we'll get to that because I'm still not done with the actual system yet. Because I don't. But yeah, we can still jump around. But I just mean we haven't got to that point yet in the post. But like Storm was an unstable that removed the weapon's stun capabilities, right? But something that changed. I can't remember when, but it was the most recent change to that overclock. Removed that aspect of it. It doesn't remove the minigun stun anymore. It just makes it a lot worse. I can see them doing the exact same thing to mini shells, basically, where they just make the stun worse instead of actually removing it. Because I think that's the main problem with it, is not being able to stun. It could get really strong if you can stun things with it, but it's probably not being picked that much anyway. And I know
Isn't that what you like about it? Like you like that it doesn't stun because you don't like stunning Praetorians because it like takes them out of their.
It's just Praetorians though. Yes, you're right, but that's just Praetorians. And the thing is, it's like you're so much worse against like things like Mactera. It's the big one. That's the thing that stun is probably the most useful for, actually. Maybe even try jaws even more specifically if you like. But I can see changes like that happening. Maybe they should rework Stunner. No, because I'd love to see some. I'd love to see. Well, yeah, I'd love to see Stunner buffed. Like if Stunner should be tranquilizer rounds, right? Not literally, because I know tranquilizer rounds is inherently good. But what I mean by that is Stunner should get the thing where it can inflict a slowdown on any enemy. And it should actually be changed too, in my opinion. It should be changed to something that gains a damage bonus when an enemy is slowed down from anything. Basically, that would be more interesting. That's what I'd rather it be. It could still have the stun aspect on it, but I think I want the stunner to be sort of brought up to a balanced or even unstable, because otherwise it's just going to be weird and not picked very much, except by you. So yeah, I want to see things like that.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about the smart rifle. I know exactly what I would do with the smart rifle, because obviously I know it's not actually that low down in terms of popularity, but I think there's some pretty obvious things that need to be done. Like the ammo mod on the weapon is far too strong, and I had the idea of that we should like basically think of it like this. Basically, what should happen to the mod is shave 12 ammo off the mod and add 24 to the base weapon. So a slight overall increase also makes the mod less valuable because that mod's too strong. Basically, is what I'm saying. So things like that. I don't know, but obviously those are both engineer suggestions, and that's because the main thing I want is some engineer changes. That's the main thing I want out of the weapon balancing. Wouldn't that be incredible? What if they something to do with Fat Boy? I don't know.
Well, they're playing to the people right now, and they're talking about buff. So chances are they ain't gonna fucking touch Fat Boy. You think it. Well, you think it would need a buff. Everyone else would think maybe it's closer to needing a nerf. Not that I think anyone thinks that. Well, people, right? I don't think anyone thinks it should be nerfed. No one thinks it should be nerfed, but everyone thinks that it's strong, which means that if they
Fat Boy should be nerfed
or nerfed,
one should land on you. That's what should happen.
Yeah,
fools.
But no, I don't know. I don't think people think when they think buffs, they think Fat Boy. No one thinks that other than you. And even then, I'm not sure you should think that, do you?
No. Well, something I'd like to see, because the weird thing about Season 4, I guess, and the good thing, by the way, the Season 4 actually benefited from this, in that the only actual weapon balancing that they went in with planned was just the Sabata overhaul. That was it. And what the result of that was is that all the other balancing was, and it's going to sound weird, but it's true. The rest of it was not very sophisticated in that it was all just to do with basically just buffing a bunch of overclocks. That's what it all was. And the reason, and people love that, obviously. And I want more of that, but I also want some. I don't want it to be restricted to overclocks either. I want to see some valuable changes to mods. You know, like the thing is, I guess the stubby overhaul is something that probably should be talked about, or just the next weapon overhaul is just like, is that something that we'd get out of a maintenance update? I don't.
Best case scenario, yeah.
I would hope so, but I don't think so.
Then again, didn't you say Mike is involved, right? He's
yeah.
So the guy that's normally in charge of all that is doing that, is probably focused on that. So we could be looking at some significant changes to guns fundamentally, rather than just like lots of buffs to overclocks. Although I think we will be getting that as well. That's certainly what they implied. We could be seeing buffs in other things.
Yeah,
as well.
I didn't actually, when I was sort of just mulling this over in my head, I didn't get to what are the really obvious overclocks at this point. I'm not actually sure what they are. In terms of consensus, by the way, because I know what mine are. Things like overdrive booster. I know that's not the consensus though. The consensus would actually probably be something like feedback loop, also for the shard diffractor, which is sort of a balance that no one really talks about, and that's maybe the reason why they would buff it. Possibly overcharger on the EPC, maybe.
I would be very, 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 very interested if they tackle the Sabata again. Like, if they think they need to, in some area. Like, 'cause as mentioned, compared to focused buffs and overhauls go, Sabata could still do with some work. Unlike the GK2 and the Sludge Pump after they were dealt with. I think those are in a good place, a real good place.
Yeah. Although,
GK2
I mean, that's
probably,
true, but I still want to see. I'm still of the position that just for the fun of it, because tier 5 mods are usually quite interesting, that every weapon should have 3 tier 5 mods. And the Sludge Pump is one that doesn't have that at the moment. So I just want to see that for every weapon, basically. Just because it's fun. And I think, and I do think there is something to be said that from now on, weapon balancing, maybe it should just be a bit more focused on fun, a little bit more, especially because, and I guess maybe we should, because we're kind of already doing it, maybe we should jump to that point specifically in the post and get that stuff out the way, because so I'll go down to what's in the rest of the update section. Weapon and overclock balance tweaks. Just a bit of routine balancing for different weapons and overclocks. These are shaping up to be mostly buffs, so don't worry about your favourite gun getting nerfed to bits. The fact that it's just mostly buffs, that is what I kind of mean. Just being a little bit more, just have fun. We don't want to sort of make things worse for people, necessarily. Although, I think by that wording, there will be at least one nerf, and I wonder what that's going to be.
Yeah, they already have something in sights of tuning down, which, I mean, realistically, we could be looking at double barrel getting nerfed a little bit, right? I think that, what was the consensus? It's incredibly strong at both single damage and like area damage, and like is fairly ammo efficient at the same time.
Yeah,
it's not too ammo wasting. Like it's like that maybe that could be nerfed. Like the only reason it wouldn't is obviously,
pardon me,
if they didn't want to nerf it yet, right?
Yeah.
Like it's too soon to be nerfing something they just buffed into like godhood. But we'll see. But I don't know. I think that's something that best case scenario is what we will be looking forward to for the future of the game. And I think we're both kind of assuming this, or at least I am. If we only get a season every year, we then get like 2 maintenance patches in between that. Each one of those, they do like as many broad, radical changes to overclocks and mods as they can. Like that kind of future is something I look forward to, where each season there essentially is a changing meta. Like what is good and what is bad will vary rapidly. Like that being a thing would be pretty cool, because I think that occurred during season 4. Season 4 didn't do much for the game as a whole, but as far as the boomstick went, its fucking meta changed. Still picking fire, but otherwise, the special powder jumbo shells meta kind of got like question marked with double barrel coming into power. I'm not sure as much change with the Hurricane. Obviously, one of its weakest links got removed, and they got a new unstable, but I'm not sure how much that actually did.
I think I don't know what I, I don't know the consensus on that, but my estimation is that Plasma Burster is actually what benefited more, and that Rocket Barrage is not inherently a great overclock. That's sort of the idea I get, and maybe Rocket Barrage gets buffed. Well, Rocket Barrage actually needs to be buffed because Rocket Barrage is actually. And this is the thing. This is what I meant about those changes being a bit unsophisticated in Season 4. Rocket Barrage is a really slapdash overclock. It's not particularly well thought out. And the biggest biggest reason for that is how it handles adding ammo to the weapon. In the fact that it's basically what it's doing big ammo overclock the way you're not meant to do big ammo overclock, which is do it in the form of a flat value rather than a percentage. Because what that means is there's like, I think what it means, if I'm not mistaken, is that there's no reason to not take ammo on it, I'm pretty sure. Like the ammo mods, because it doesn't. I can't. I feel kind of stupid, but I think I'm on something here.
I would think it's the other way around. I would have thought that
Look, Carl.
The amount of ammo you are adding onto your ammo pool by picking ammo mods at that point is less than if it was a percentage based. If it was percentage based, the mods would be doing more.
Oh wait, hold on, no, because you're no, you're actually right. You're right because I was just wrong. It is the other way around in that there's no point because basically, if you just take Rocket Barrage, just say we just have a naked Hurricane, we had take Rocket Barrage goes up to from 288 to 504 max ammo. If you add the tier 1 ammo mod onto that, it only goes up to 576, which is not enough of an increase, basically, to be worth taking more ammo at all. Because it's just the original. It's not based on the actual. It's not based on the new max ammo. Because I think kind of how overclocks to add ammo is meant to work is they're not meant to function the same as an ammo mod. When a overclock adds ammo, it's always like increases max ammo. It's like increasing the default ammo that you can get, which is why it makes sense that a weapon mod would then be increased as well, because it's just this proportional thing, and that's where Rocket Barrage failed. That's basically Rocket Barrage should actually have that small tweak done to it. Like genuinely, that's like actually a thing that should happen, which is weird. So yeah, Rocket Barrage should get changed in this update, which is not something I'd expect to be saying, but I am saying it, and I'm right.
Well, I think that I think is more fair though. I think that makes sense if I were to say it this way. If they added something new and it's too strong in a PvE game, that's not that big a deal. If they add something new and it's too weak, that kind of is a big deal. That's like now a new thing that wasn't worth adding, essentially. And for it to be the only new overclock and it wasn't worth adding is not a great look. Like the newest overclock we've had since like season 2 with the new guns overclocks, like that's rough, man. So yeah, I mean, preferably they'd do that to cover their ass for that thing. But I don't know. I think they should just focus on like rough quantity, like just start like fucking with things in ways that you wouldn't rationally want to do it, with the intention of being able to nerf it if it gets too strong or buff it further if it still wasn't enough within a couple months, right? Next maintenance patch, you can tone it down if it was too much. People wouldn't mind if it was too much as well. It's a PvE game. As long as their favorite thing doesn't get nerfed into the ground, who gives a shit, right? But obviously I don't want the power scaling to go too high up, but that'll be what the next maintenance patch is for, is toning things down that went too far. But either way, I think they should be more than happy to make things go too far with how if we are getting these updates like regularly and frequently. And I'm thinking, I mean, what was the difference between this one and next month? The next maintenance, it's like 3 to 4 months, right?
Well, okay, hold on. 4 months. It's going to be March,
Yeah.
so 4 months, which is
4 months.
actually fine. Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. And
because we'll have a shitload. First of all, we'll have stuff to play with. We'll have a shitload of stuff to unlock. We'll have 2 more events in between. And that's it. But still, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. And I'm just saying that, it's like 4 months between then, and then it's between that and the season, and that's probably only going to be like another 3 or 4 months as well. I mean, if it's been 6 months already since it's been like 5 months since the season came out, right? So it's up on another 4 months. That's 9 months. So yeah, about 3 months after that will then be season 5, which will then be able to change stuff again.
3 months is not a lot in Deep Rock, for what we're used to. For what we're used to, it's like
by the time
season. What I'm saying, season 5 is going to feel very soon after the March update. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's gonna.
Yeah, that maintenance patch is going to be like it comes out, a month or 2 will pass, and we'll start getting teasers for season 5. Especially since chances are, I mean, that maintenance patch, I mean, they're probably only going to be working on Road Court after that for like a month maybe, and then they'll come back to Deep Rock to for everyone to work on the next season. Which is why once again, I think season 5 is not going to be big.
No, but that's not as much of a problem.
No,
it's just not.
If the maintenance updates are as big as these are, then if you can count all of them in the same thing, we're probably going to get more than we had the last stuff.
It's already doing something because obviously the weapon maintenance is something that's going to be a seasonal feature. They're going to add a new paint job every season that you will earn on every individual weapon, and that's just inherently sure that's more work for them to do, but that doesn't matter. The point, what that is inherently doing is, I know that's not really. I don't even know if it's really relevant. But
it's a lot more for the players than it is for them. Is I think a point.
No, but it's getting into something that kind of needed to be addressed, which is how the season package needed to be enhanced in some way. It kind of just did. What a season inherently brings kind of needed to be enhanced a little bit. And this actually touches on a lot of cool things. Like one of them, which I didn't think about at first, but I sort of thought of it pretty soon after reading the post, which is season challenges, which is first of all the fact that they're probably not doing much with them, but we now actually have, this is still a different incentive to earn rewards. It's like now it's like use specific weapons now. It's not in the form of the season challenges. It's not a daily challenge, but it is still a new thing.
That's something I was thinking of, though. I mean, we obviously are of the opinion that they need to kind of like update, renovate, improve the challenges system. Now, obviously, this gun system is not connected to it, but it could be, right? It could be you could basically have leveling up a weapon. Maybe it gives you like some performance points, something like that. Basically, you know what I mean? Like where it does kind of relate to the actual season pass, where playing with the weapons will get you through the season quicker, or just basically using any weapon gives you season thing. Or maybe there is like a bonus weapon where it's like if you use the M1000 for the next half an hour, you get like an extra 50% performance points or some bollocks like that, right? Like they could tack on just a couple more tiny things to the system and it would just evolve it to a whole new level with it being tied to challenges and the actual pass.
Not that we need to progress the pass quicker.
No,
but that's what I mean. But that's why I actually kind of like it being a bit kind of separate.
But once again though, Harry, with seasons being as long as they are, we should see the season pass extend a lot. Mostly still filler, but genuinely, I could see the season growing to like 200 level. Like, I think that would be reasonable.
So if that happened,
seasons are doubling in length,
hold on. If that happened, are you also saying it's part of that? Most of that would actually be most of the tiers that are added would be filler. Is that correct? Like
probably
more than
technically,
50%, more than 50% would be filler. But
I think you could in an ideal world they would make some changes and maybe switch out the frameworks into the pass, and that would definitely fill it out nice and good. And then the tree would be,
Maybe the
I don't
frameworks
know,
will be the weapon
funkier
maintenance
thing.
instead.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of the situation where any more, and it feels like it's piling like too much on the art team, right? Because with the reveal of the sausage hat taking that much time, it does put into perspective
Yeah.
how much time the thing probably does take, and doubling that would be a bit much. Especially it would be more than double because now they've got to make new paint jobs for all the weapons. Not that I think it's much more difficult than finding something that looks nice on the things. But I don't know. It's something that I hope they're thinking about,
Mm.
because not doing it without addressing it would feel like a absurd oversight. That they think a season that was a pass that was designed for 4 to 6 months in length would last like a year. Like if they think that is fine without addressing it, like if they genuinely think that like the way they want to approach it, if they come out and say that like they don't mind if you finish the pass and go to like pass level 700, right? They don't mind it. That's how they want their pass to be done. They don't mind it being finished quickly. If that they come out and say that, fine. But if they actually genuinely think and don't say out loud that that a pass supposed to be done in 6 months will last 12 with an entire year's worth of double XP events, right? Like just like all the events you'll get within one season. Like you could probably basically play each of the like both of the events, like challenges, or not challenges, I forgot the word, assignments, right? Both of the events assignments, you could probably play like them for every event and you would get like halfway through the pass, maybe more. Like you would probably blitz through it if you only ever played the events. And it'll be weird if they don't address it, is my point. Um
Yeah, I mean, it has a
it'll
little bit
be
to do with how long it takes to complete these weapon maintenance tasks, if that's the best way to refer to them. Because I think I would be pretty disappointed if it was really easy to get all of those skins like before or at the same time as finishing the pass. It strikes me as something that should take longer. I think
yeah,
'cause it's a
like
little bit more
I think
because
you
it's more specific.
we just gotta hope that they have started looking at the pass and what it provides, and realizing that it's now going to feel double the amount of time, right?
If
And that
that is
maybe
the
these
case,
weapon things, yeah, I guess,
and
but not,
but
but
what
it's
that
got to
means
be
is that
right.
they need to. What that means is they need to almost make a decision. And I think if they actually instead of just like um instead of just running with things as they sort of usually do, if they actually made the decision of having one season a year, that would probably be more beneficial than just sort of not
As
knowing.
long as we've got these
You know?
maintenance updates, I think people will generally agree that it's better, because so
Yeah.
far we have had 4 seasons. All 4 of them have had issues. 2 of them have outright people starting to riot. One of them real bad, right? Um,
Yeah.
but so far we've had one maintenance patch, and so far
Oh
it's
well,
a
we haven't had
unanimous
it yet.
fuck yeah. We haven't even had it yet, but people are still fucking cheering them on, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that given this maintenance one and maybe the next one, and if the next one looks as good as this one is going to be, then we'll be in good shape. And I feel like if they turned to the community around season 5 and said, we expect to only do one season per year, we will give you like 3 maintenance patches like every 3 months, kind of from then, right? Because if we get season 5, maintenance patch, maintenance patch, maintenance patch, season 6, that would be every
Oh
3 months would
well,
work.
I wouldn't expect them to. I wouldn't expect them to bring the number up. I wouldn't. I wouldn't expect it to be up to 3
Well,
in between. I think
well,
2.
it makes well, bear in mind they're not right now. They're predominantly working on road core, and obviously they will continue to put most of their effort into road core. Right now, they are literally like actively doing as much as they can on road core. Plus, from the season to this event has been what, like it will be probably about 6 months when this comes out, right? or like 5? The November patch
from season 4. It's going to be it's going to be 5 months, probably about exactly like 5 months.
Yeah. So instead of having it be like, if from now on it's a season and maintenance patches throughout the year, and instead of it being 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, and then like the next season comes out, just like have just 3 maintenance, a Deep Rock update, like an actual season, and then just kind of, like they can work on road core for the rest of the year. I think it's just easier if we know like there's just 3. It's just easier to split the year into either 3 parts or technically 4 parts. Like you could do it where you move the November patch back a month rather, not a year, and have it be 4 months after season, like the season, and then the next one's 4 months after that, and then 4 months after that would be next season. You could still have it be 2 maintenance patches in a season, but just have it more evenly spread.
Well, that's how I think it should be.
My point,
basically.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think because they won't, like, they will be able to put more attention back into Deep Rock, like eventually with Road Core. Like, as the more Road Core gets added to, the more attention can be put back towards Deep Rock. Not that they inherently want to, but it's just how it works. And right now, they've got to give Road Core the maximum fucking attention, right? It's a baby. It's an infant. You leave it for a second, it will die. Like, that kind of scenario. But in like a year or two, Road Core, or in a year, Road Core will be approaching coming out, and in 2 years, it would have been out for a year, and it will be pretty stable, right? And already like in a pretty solid state. You would hope that, based, who knows, but like I don't know. I think in an ideal world, 3 maintenances and then a season every year, but we could continue with the 2 maintenance and a season.
Well, yeah, I just personally don't think that number is needed for it to be ideal. I think we can get what we need with 2, because we're already this one is already doing so much.
It depends on how much seasons actually add in the end.
Yes, yeah.
That if ultimately all seasons do is kind of change the flavor of the game throughout the year, like like it'll change the hubs, cosmetics, and it will add a new thing, like a big thing. Like maintenance patches would never add a game mode or a biome or weapons or anything like that, but the season would add some actual, like an actual thing. If that's kind of how it works, then I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I think that's the other issue though, is that how much can maintenance patches really add? People wanted this gun thing. They didn't know that we were going to add it, but that people had the desire to. But like, they can't add it again, right? They can't add another weapons thing. So what are they going to add next? Maintenance. Don't like this. There's not really anything I can think of. They're not going to do the fucking perk overhaul next maintenance, right? That's not going to occur. So like, what weapon balancing? Maybe slightly a bit more enemy balancing. Not that I think if they nail it this time, I'm not sure what they would need to tackle. Like, I don't see next maintenance patch being that needed, which is why once again I think it's going to be more setting up season 5 than it will be.
Well, settling. That's why like, suggesting
out season 4.
That's why suggesting 3 maintenance patches in between seasons sounds that's why that sounds silly.
I guess. Yeah.
It really is becoming a question of how much they actually can do. But I want to say immediately more than we thought, I guess, because this update's already doing more than we thought that could really be done at this stage. Kind of. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that this is possible, but it does slightly surprise me that they're doing it at all. Something we haven't really touched on yet is, and I guess is going to be, I'm going to sort of raise the question of if you think if this makes sense in the sense of should we have expected this anyway, which is the fact that they are adding it's a completely retroactive thing. They're basically adding the weapon maintenance as if it's been around since season 1, as in they're adding 4 per weapon, and they haven't established exactly how that's going to work in terms of earning them, except the fact that it's going to be separate. We know that you're going to have to earn them separately, right? So you're going to have it's just they haven't established if it's like you get to choose which season you're working on, basically. And I bring this up because I actually asked them about this on the stream today, and they answered my question, which is that they don't know about that specifically. Aside from the fact that you have to earn them separately, they don't know if it's going to be like you start with the season ones and then work forward or whatever. But obviously, some retroactive things make sense. Like, you know, I would expect when new weapons are added for them to have all previously existing paint jobs and frameworks applied to them. It makes perfect sense. But this is a brand new system starting from season 4. I wouldn't have inherently expected this, and I don't know where to go from there. But I guess the question is, should we have expected that? Is that like, would that have been reasonable, or is this them going beyond expectations? It's kind of what I'm thinking about.
I mean, I think we could have expected something like that in season 5, right? Like, I think we were thinking that they were only going to start like doing stuff in season 5, and even then, we didn't quite think they were going to actually do much. Like they were spending more time on Rogue Core, that they were going to kind of put Deep Rock on the back burner. Yet, in just this maintenance patch, they have accurately and immediately directly addressed something the community has wanted for like a while, and is just reinforcing the play more now kind of stuff, right? You know, you want to unlock some weapon skins, right? Like, they came out swinging a lot quicker than anyone thought they would, right? They hoped that they would do this, right? One day that they would add this feature and add a new system, but no one expected them to do it in a maintenance update that people barely even knew about, right? Which I think everyone knows about now, at the very least. I think they you know.
Oh well, I mean, well, okay, well, hold on. Snitch hasn't made a video on it yet. All right, let's wait. We'll wait for that. But Axis Kronos has, and it's a good video because he's happy in it.
A lot of people, other people have as well. I've seen.
But yeah, I think the interesting thing is, I did touch on this before, but I didn't get into it, which is the fact that this update has something specific to, you know, obviously it's introducing the system, but it goes beyond that. In this is going to be the most going to be the biggest example of it. You know, the weapon maintenance is going to be one paint job per season. This update, yeah, they're doing it because of previous seasons, just the fact that they've had previous seasons, but they're still adding 4 per weapon. Just in this update. So this update is very specifically bringing more to do with the maintenance update, with the weapon maintenance system, than the next season will do for it. It's just inherently doing the most because they just decided, fuck it, we'll make 4 of them. And I think that's just fantastic because, but an element of it feels slightly band-aidy a little bit, because this is so much so like just making sure people are going to have stuff to do for a while. Like, it really is. It's so good. I mean, because just like they didn't inherently have to make one for every past season, but they did. And I wonder how much of that was like them thinking people would expect that, or if it was them thinking, oh, we have a chance here to just give people a lot to do. And I appreciate having a lot to do, by the way. I no problem with that. I think it's great, but I wonder where that decision came from.
I feel like it came in like waves, where they were like, we can't really add a cosmetic based, feature or like a system and only add one cosmetic, right? I feel like that would probably they were thinking like, that's not a great shout.
So do you think that this is the stage that they hadn't actually decided it was 4 seasons?
Maybe, but
and then after that, they decided to get multiple paint jobs. If we make it a seasonal thing, then we're going to have to do one for all the previous seasons, and that's how we excuse making. That also gives us an amount as well. That gives us the number 4, so we don't go beyond that as well.
And then they were like, "Oh, what else are there 4 of in this game?" And what is the thing that people have been asking for? Oh, dwarf color specific weapon skins. Interesting. Maybe we should add those, but like all the dwarfs have all of the colors, but then you would just use the color for your dwarf.
So are we? Hold on. Are we saying that then? Are we like pretty certain that there's a reason why these are all kind of roughly oriented towards a class color?
I very much think so.
Yeah, I
I
think
think,
so.
and I think that's also why they're not dead set on having the season 1 to season 4 like idea, because it would essentially mean that whatever color they choose to season 1, everyone's going to get. Then whatever one they choose to season 4 will be the last one people get. Which basically means if they picked yellow in season 1, Driller's going to have a easy Driller skin. But if it's like Engineer all the way in season 4, the last one you get, it's like engineers are going to have to grind 4 whole levels before they get the color of their gun, right? And I think that's probably why they're a bit up in the air, which is why I think it might end up being like random. Like it'll be like as soon as you finish the level, it will pull from a pool essentially.
That
But obviously once you
is,
finish the pool, every season it will be
huh?
guaranteed. But like that's I think what I would do.
Well, because I'm wondering, is this a thing where maybe they should is this an example of something where maybe they should leave RNG out of things for once?
Maybe, but they might
Maybe.
probably won't because
Probably
they
won't.
fucking love RNG so goddamn much. Like
But
it's not a
I just
surprise
don't
that the
think this is
second game they're making is a roguelike. Like they fucking love RNG.
really doubling down. But this system doesn't necessitate RNG for it to work at all. It doesn't need that to work in any way. So I don't know. Like I said, they don't know exactly how they're going to handle that aspect of things. I just think the fact that you have to earn them all is beautiful. You know, because it would have been pointless for them to just add it as if you'd already done the first 3 seasons worth of them. That would have felt really pointless. Just like, here's free paint jobs. Like, great. Because honestly, the best thing about these, specifically for someone like me who I don't know how much use I'm actually going to get out of the paint jobs, the best part is just the fact that I'm going to have to earn them, not that I'm going to have them. You know what I mean? I like having stuff to earn. I don't like being given stuff, to be honest. So this is brilliant for me. But that brings us to the next part of this, which is something that the post doesn't talk about, which is how long it takes to earn one of these skins. Which we don't know.
I assume they still don't know.
Oh, well, they have an idea, and I'll explain what I have an idea because I asked them if they had an idea, and they told me. Which is, well, actually, the immediate answer, as in Aaron's answer, was we don't know. I think like Jacob chimed in and said we currently are thinking around 30,000 XP. Was what they said. And 30,000 XP,
right?
I don't know what that sounds like to you. No, it's a bit more than you think. If I were to put that down to could you earn that in a single mission? You could, but it would have to be a maximum length mining expedition with double XP, with probably at least one extra thing. Not too bad. Yeah. I think the average mission can actually be as low as like 3,000, even on Hazard 5, 3 to 5,000.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's going to have variety there. Bigger missions will contribute a lot more, obviously, but
yeah. So I mean, it basically it's ranging from like 1 to 20, basically. Like it seems like
especially for people who play below Hazard 5.
Yeah. They're going to be grinding that out for a little while, which I guess encourages going up the ranks a little bit more, getting more XP quicker.
But what I'm saying, that does sound like a good number, and it maybe they could just run with it. I know they're not decided. That was just very low. Spitballing, but it sounds like it's probably higher than it feels like.
Yeah, but like I mean, it is like, but then you got to keep in mind how many weapons you're going to then have to do it on, and then you got to have to half that because you would be leveling up 2 at the same time. But then you'll have to say, but then you've got to do it 4 times, right? It's going to equal out to, I mean, realistically, hopefully. Even the people that grind a lot, if in an ideal world, they would struggle to get all of them before the next maintenance patch. If they get all of the cosmetics, so this includes you, I think, as one of those people, all of them before the next maintenance, then maybe it was too low. Like the fact that people can do that. But if people, it takes until like season 5 for like even the sweaty people to, not like the full-on speed runners. Like Axis Chronos is probably going to get it within a couple of weeks, like all of them. Um, like just the people that play a lot but not play like super try hard. If it takes until like season 5 for them to get it all, then that's probably good, because then it would take like, like 2 months per layer, essentially, something like that. And considering, now they're going to be adding one per season, and if we only get one season per year, it's one new skin per year, which, it is what it is at that point. I don't know, I think it's weird that they're not cemented on it, considering how soon it should be. But then again, I guess we're still probably like 2 or so weeks away, aren't we? If that,
we
3
could
more.
be around 3 weeks away. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's about 3 weeks from now, or from yesterday, maybe. But honestly, that's close enough. I think that's close enough for me. I mean, I don't know how much more we're going to hear about it before it launches, but also not. There's a little bit more to go through, I guess, which is just sort of the other things. I guess we've already done weapon balancing, absolutely, and pretty much done the septic spreader. But yeah, nerfing the stingtail, that's a big part of it, or a big part. It's going to be an important part. I mean, it's like, obviously, it's not going to take huge amounts of resources, but it's still going to be probably one of the most important things that's actually addressed. When it comes to things that are addressed.
Right?
Yes. Although they've sort of mentioned things about so we're increasing the cooldown on its grab attack, especially after a successful grab, so you won't be getting yoinked all over the place as much, which I didn't think about too much. I guess the idea there is it's probably still going to be pretty good at grabbing you. It's just not going to do it a lot. It's just not going to...
Yeah, which I think is up there as far as like it goes, because it is literally, it can almost basically spam it.
But what's
like,
the worst
the
part?
Is
the
like,
worst part
3 to
how
5
often?
seconds.
Is the worst part how often it's able to do that, or was the worst part how good it was at doing that? I mean,
well, I think what people would label the worst part is the fact that you would get pulled and then thrown off an edge and then insta die, right? Like that's I think what people's main concern is. The issue is I don't think Deep Rock or Ghost Ship can do anything about that specifically, but what they can do is make that occurring significantly less often by making it harder on the Stingtail, right? That like if you dodge it that one time, you should be able to kill it before it can do its attack again. Like I think that's probably their goal, alongside the fact that they're trying to make it more killable, right? Like, so making it more killable, making its cooldown longer means that essentially if you dodge that first attack, or jump it first, you should be able to kill it without it doing too much harm.
It says we'll also be tweaking its health and elemental resistances so it's less of a pain to take down solo. I don't know why I actually put that specifically, but I was thinking about elemental resistances. I actually think it responds just fine to elements. Like, for example, I think freeze is a perfectly valid counter to the Stingtail. It doesn't take too long to freeze. I don't think any elements are too weak against it, actually. I don't think that's where its problems lie. I assume
it's just like a flamethrower driller on his own. It's probably getting torn to pieces by a Stingtail. Like, I think that's exactly that's what that is. Maybe a neurotoxin gunner on his own.
A neurotoxin gunner, because we got to make sure they're in good nick.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Just like, I think on his own is a point, right? Because I think really, if 2 people focus fire on the Stingtail, it survives longer than it should, but it still goes down, right?
Yeah.
But if you're solo, not that I would know, I assume it takes a bit more out of you to take it down.
Yeah, I kind of just have to go all in if I want it to die. I kind of just have to really just focus on it. I mean, I still think that's the biggest problem with it. Is the fact that you can't do anything about it except kill it. That's still, to me, the biggest problem. And that is actually, obviously, what they're doing to the spreader, which I didn't think of. And the reason why I didn't think of that for the spreader is because the spreader's easy enough to kill when you can hit it. The problem is, and the problem people, I guess it's become a problem for people, is its actual proficiency at being a mortar, which I love, but I understand the fact that does put it in a position where you can't do anything about it. And changing that is pretty I don't know if genius is the right word. It's just the fact that we hadn't at any point thought of an actual way to handle the spreader, and yet they just happened to, just out of the blue, they just like, we got it. you can shoot the projectiles down. So, good idea. And I think that's probably going
not that I'm gonna be able
to
to do it.
work.
Yeah, not gonna be able to
Well,
shoot a fucking projectile. It's arching.
with the it depends on the weapon. With the flamethrower, it's probably not going to be too difficult. Or the wave cooker. Wave cooker is going to be very easy to do it with. Right?
Yeah.
There's no chance, no chance of you missing.
Just shoot a little bit.
Yeah, or you just shoot until the projectile falls into the beam. You don't really need to try that hard. I do wonder though if there's any kind of like reason to go in the direction of possibly make that not just a way of keeping yourself safe, but actually make the spreader more dangerous to other enemies, or maybe dangerous at all. I don't think they actually take damage from the septic goo. Maybe they should. I don't know. And then shooting it down, there could actually be strategy there of actually shooting it down in places where it's going to land on something. I think that could easily be a good idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. I'm not sure whether or not they'd do it. But yeah, having it be so. Yeah, the spreader either from now on or whenever you shoot it down will if it lands on anything will damage it and like a sludge pump just kind of corrode it until the effect runs out or whatever. It's a good idea, but that sounds a step further than what they're willing to do to the spreader right now, and what they probably need to do it. Really, that's something that I would have seen them doing it when they added it, but they didn't do it when they added it, so there's no real point in doing it now. It's in a fine spot, and it's going to be even finer now that it has this thing to it. There's not much of a point really, but yeah. Is that it for the enemy stuff, or I guess the rockpox stuff? We haven't actually. I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but yeah, the rockpox.
What about it?
They made it nicer. They made it not hurty as muchy. Or not slow down as much, right? Or be easier to get out of, is what they said. Right?
That. I don't know what that means for them, given how married to that challenge they were. What does it mean to make it easier? Really is it actually going to change how it works? Because we should.
Yeah, they either changed how you get out, or they just shortened it. So you only have to do it 1, 2, 3 or something like that. Just a little tap instead of a full-on sprint. That's I guess something we'll see more of. Really, I mean, when are we thinking of do you think this is going to be the details on the day of, or do you think we'll know the details?
If you want to know, I can read this segment. When the update drops, we'll share more about the specific balance tweaks, rockpox reductions, and bug fixes. When the update drops. So yes, absolutely, specifically. Quite specific.
Yeah, which obviously they'll give us the date before then. They won't just drop it out of nowhere.
But what I think what they mean by that is, as in we could hear a little bit more explanation on the front of the two main features, but it's the more patch notey things are gonna wait. We have to wait till the patch notes. The things that patch notes would be more inclined to explain. We're gonna need the patch notes to explain. So we'll just have to wait for that. But we could hear a little bit about the other stuff before. But before we hear that, we want to hear from you. That means we get not you. This just means we're going to go over some comments now. That's what it means. But before we do that, I need the toilet. I need to piss, and I'm going to do that now. No, I'm not letting you get away with that. I'm showing people that. I didn't think of that at first. I thought, what if I just unpause it and then just completely fuck him up? Anyway, I wanted to touch on something briefly because honestly, we're not. McVitie sponsor us.
No wait, don't. They're Scrum.
Are they? No, don't say. You can't say that. You can't.
They probably are. Most companies like that are. Nestle
You're just assuming, aren't you?
Yeah.
Shut up. Anyway, so I wanted to. I put something I completely forgot about, and it's really trivial. But in the thumbnail, there may or may not be the words "We're back." I don't know if we need to explain that for the heathens who don't understand that things weren't looking so good, right? Like, genuinely. And what I mean by that is, even if we were, I don't. It doesn't matter if we were right or wrong. Like a year ago, about like sort of attitude or stance. I'm not talking. I don't care about that. What I mean is the fact that, just objectively speaking, things weren't looking great for Deep Rock as a game specifically, over just from the announcement. And I honestly, I wasn't expecting that to change from these updates at all. And what I mean by that is, aside from weapon balancing, you're such a fucking piece of shit. Aside from weapon balancing, I wasn't expecting the maintenance updates to actually give people a reason to play, more than they just make it better for people who are just still playing. You know, that's that. I mean, I was expecting that. I was absolutely expecting the game to get better for people who are currently playing it still, and that is obviously the case as well. But the fact that they're just a tool going to actually bring with them, at least this one is going to bring with it reasons for people to play in general. Even if, like me, I'm still playing the game, even if it's not as much. But I don't feel like I have a particularly good reason to, and now I am, and that's going to make it all better. And you know, already mentioned how weapon balancing, trying things out like that, was still going to be something, and we're getting that, and that's only going to be enhanced by this new system as well. And beyond that, you know, like I mentioned yesterday, I think I might have mentioned it at the beginning of this, is how the holiday events were becoming less and less of a good reason to come back as well. But now they're only going to be enhanced as well. They're actually going to serve their function as being flavor and not being because they were not sufficient to be the only thing happening between seasons. And they're not anymore. And that's just that alone. That it doesn't matter how much this is really going to do. It's just the fact that that's not the case anymore. It's really important that holiday events.
I think
they were never meant to carry. They were never meant to carry, and they're not going to have to anymore.
But they're going to serve a double purpose now, and as in the double performance points. Those have become more valuable. If you do not like this season, you can now complete it quicker.
I didn't.
At a season when there's a holiday event going on, and then turn it off. Like, genuinely, if you can't bring yourself to play it, playing now is like 4 times the rewarding.
Yeah, you also don't have to,
and the extra cosmetics.
Yes, right? But you also don't have to because of the performance points, you don't inherently have to play the content anyway to progress the pass quickly. You can just play normal missions if you want. You don't actually have to engage that much or as much. So maybe that's something.
And then, you know, once you've turned most of it off, obviously the content is still going to be in the game, right? That's still something. You cannot remove Rockpox. That is not on the table here. But you can delegate it to what it would be like when the season is over. Which I guess they're kind of probably happy that that's over and done with, right? That's normally something they probably have to worry about near the end of the time. Yeah. But they ripped that Band-Aid off. Yeah. They know what it's going to be like. But yeah, I mean, so even with the season turned off, you're still going to be able to progress like the tree eventually over time. And it is the point where, like, if you are someone who could not stand playing the game right now, just stand it in holiday events and you'll be able to turn it off, essentially, like quicker, which is not the best case scenario, right? Having to play the game you don't want to play so you can make it playable, but at least you can make it playable now instead of waiting for season 5.
Yeah.
So there is that. But yeah, no, I don't know. When this November thing goes out, the game will be like double as playable as it is right now.
Also, another thing about we're back, right? And because like something that people I guess just don't understand, because this is not inherently a bad label, but the truth is there are two. In the chronology of the game, there are 2 versions of Ghost Ship, right? There's the pre-season version and the post-season version, and the truth is, this is the most old Ghost Ship thing they've done since season 1. And I say season 1 because even though season 1 represented a shift into a formula, it was still very much so a thing of theirs to come out swinging with like oh look guys, we just made our biggest update ever and introduced like big new systems. That's old Ghost Ship. And then after that they stopped introducing as many new systems. It's just an
I
update, is
think
what I'm saying. That's
yeah,
old
yeah.
guard shit, and that's cool. I like it. I like it's an update that's just, it's not a season, but it's still adding content, and that alone
Yeah.
fills me with joy.
Mm.
Joy and whimsy. It's just nice.
I think because putting it that way, it really does beg the question, or kind of like, that make you think that, like, ultimately, no matter what your thoughts on seasons were, chances are they were a mistake. Um, like realistically, it seems like Ghost Ship kind of lost their way for the last couple seasons, right? And it's not until Rogue Core, arguably, that they've started, doing the things they want to do. And it's not that they've changed as people. It seems that they have actually not been liking things as much as well, right?
Yeah, and this
They
is why I
mentioned
want
about how
to.
they weren't happy with the communication, like the lack of communication,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
Which is ironic considering, they are communicating as much as they can, 2 streams a day, teasers before seasons and that, but not 2 streams a day, Jesus, 2 a week.
2 streams a
But,
day. What the fuck?
yeah.
I mean,
But obviously that isn't enough for them, and it's not enough for us either. But
yeah,
us being
and
community.
I think this is the biggest reason why sort of the and I'm not. We haven't specifically gotten a ridiculous amount of flack, but we have received vitriol for criticizing the game before. It has happened, and the fact that there are still plenty of people who like really die hard and shoot down criticism. The reason why it, and I don't mind the words I'm going to use here, the reason why it does actually piss me off is because it doesn't align with Ghost Ship's approach at all. It doesn't align with how they feel. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. The truth is, I think we were closer to where Ghost Ship were at than those people, even when we were at our like most down on the game. I think that was still closer to them to a certain extent. I think what they want to be criticized, and they want to keep working on the game, which is why you should talk about what they're doing to it, because they don't want to leave it either. The people who are like the diehard fans, they basically just don't care what happens to it. But Ghost Ship does. They really care what happens to Deep Rock, and therefore so do we. I thought I just wanted to get it off my chest.
It's literally, it is all right. If I was to describe someone who, like, no matter what Ghost Ship added to the game, they do not care, right? Like, they don't care about what Ghost Ship does to the game. You describe someone like that. What does that describe? It describes someone who genuinely doesn't care about the game at all in the slightest. They don't give a shit. And they do someone that 100% supports every decision Ghost Ship ever makes. Both of those people ultimately does not matter what Ghost Ship do to them at all. They will either defend it or not care at all. Which that is just how useless 100% loving everything like they do is.
Yeah.
It is the equivalent of not caring in the slightest. Like, it is just waste of time, waste of space. Like, which generally Ghost Ship does still value those type of people, right? They have come out to say that anyone who cares enough about the game to voice criticism or defend them, they value. But ultimately, it's not valuable to most other people.
I think they value feedback above anything, and diehard defending and also thoughtless harassment. Neither of those things are feedback. Feedback is in between those things, and feedback can be positive and negative, and that's what they value most, because feedback is helpful, good or bad. Someone shooting down criticism is not feedback. Yes, absolutely. And
I think that's the thing. They see it as, even if that person is ultimately not contributing anything to the argument and would be fine with the game continuing spiral towards monotony and just being worse, they still value that person cares enough to support them, essentially. Yeah. But it is still kind of I don't know. But yeah, Ghost Ship is just, they're just kind of really fucking good at their jobs in like all regards. And like they've been struggling a little bit come season 4, and that much is clear to basically everyone. But it seems that with Rogue Core, they've got a new breath of life in them, essentially. Right?
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, just before we get to comments, just one last thing. I did not expect the game going on maintenance mode to be a blessing, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
it is. It sounds so bizarre, but I think it's cool. I just think it's cool. I just think it's cool having things work out like that. Just they work out in ways that you wouldn't expect. The fact that this is going to be a better update. What are you fucking eating? This is going to be a better update than season 4, and that alone is weird and awesome. I love it. I want good things. So, let's go. Let's fucking go.
We're back,
We're back, baby. Fuck it, we ball. I mean,
and we're back. More subscribers, baby.
and
And that's
what?
just example of
more subscribers. 49. Hey,
Yeah.
just went up. He just went up.
no, because basically, and I bring this up because it is relevant.
At 750
It is
penis reveal.
Yeah. We're using our subscribers basically
But
as a gauge of
not
the
even
last.
though. Not even. It's someone else's. It's someone...
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry. I'm so sorry.
just realised you
You've
were
been
still
fucking.
talking
I
about
don't
the
care.
penis.
You're eating. I don't give a shit. All right. I don't have to apologize. I don't have to.
I'm not eating. I'm not spitting food everywhere. Basically,
No, you're spitting facts.
the last couple of months, our channel has essentially stagnated, mostly on us, since other channels have continued to go. But now it's suddenly resurrecting itself, which is odd. Why would it be doing that? Oh, people care about Deep Rock again. Like that. That's pretty much it. Like eyes are coming back on Deep Rock. They want Deep Rock news, which is probably the main thing that people are here for. Or the amazing podcast that we produce with maximum effort, maximum quality, pure professionalism.
Maximum quality. Maybe I
Yeah.
probably shouldn't actually do. I think we're better than we have been. I think we're better. Anyway, let's get some takes. You know what we should do though, because the thing is, a lot of these aren't like actually too. I want to ask for some hot takes. We should do that at some point, for sure. But that's not what we got today. So this is from the video of covering the update preview. From Arthur Dos Santos 29. I cannot describe my happiness. I'll be able to go grind something new on my favourite game with more frames due to less rockbox and new spicy builds to try due to balancing tweaks. Galactic Games plans to deliver the cool changes all the community wanted and even more. So glad to be a DLG employee right now. Holy shit. Yeah, that encapsulates a lot, actually. And also, we probably shouldn't ignore rockbox and performance, like as in game technical performance. That is a real thing that they don't inherently have the capacity to remedy perfectly. So, and in a sense, so they can't cater to people with. Forgive me for saying this. They can't cater to everyone with really shitty rigs, but the ability to actually remove rockbox to a certain extent might help those people a little bit. And yeah, but he also pins down the biggest things for me: having something new to grind while also trying new builds. That's gonna be what it is for me, so we can relate on that level. Arthur, you beautiful bastard. But that's probably it from that comment. But yeah, he's just got it.
Yeah, I do like that there'll probably be a correlation. Not that anyone will really see it, but the weapons that get the most balancing will also be the ones that get leveled up the most quickest. Like,
Ooh, that'd be an interesting stat for them to track. I mean, I assume they will somehow. Not somehow. I mean, I just assume they'll naturally track it.
I would really hope that they're somehow tracking this, because if they can get a foot through the door and track which weapons people use most, oh my god, I would love for them to know that. First of all, so they can share it with us, because I would love to know that. But second of all, I think that's just such a valuable information for them to have. And I think if they're not already gathering it, now's a good time. Although the stat that they would be tracking would essentially be how much are people earning with these weapons, which is a not great specific stat.
Well, yeah, I mean, what the specific stat you want is how quickly. What's the weapon maintenance skin that is earned on average the quickest? I guess is actually what it should be.
Yeah. Well, if I had to guess, I would say M1000. Because realistically, the people
it's the most popular weapon.
No, but I think it's the people who earn the most XP, play the most, and would grind the most would use the M1000. And Scout, because Scout is quicker, would complete missions quicker. I think basically, yeah. I think people that use the M1000 or Scout as a whole would do it all quicker. But
You might actually. I
that's
think I.
irrelevant.
No, I think you're right though. I do think you're right. I find a fair I'm gonna read this and then try to understand it afterwards. From the Epic Duck 6922. I can find a fair I think he's trying to say I think a fair compromise could exist for performance pass payout for at least playing a mission. Hope that's considered. Could understand stripping out challenges for ease of implementation. Nonetheless, glad to see this put out. So, compromise could exist for performance pass payout for at least playing a mission. I don't know what he's actually getting at there, but there must
literally no idea.
Well, there must be something, because this is one of the ones that Anders responded to, though. He just said, "Of course." Oh god, I wish. Fuck. We probably should actually just move on. But it's really cool, by the way. Anders, you're cool. That's what I mean. You're very cool because we like you.
He's our local ghost member who appears in the chat in the comments sometimes.
Yeah, from FQ No Q 20 Gone. Crikey. Good lord, I love that blue on the mastery paint jobs for the weapons. Also, if you notice, each of those new paint jobs, they match each class's base colours. Wow. They do, don't they?
The Drillers one was a lot more cream than yellow.
And the Engineer one was actually quite orange.
Yeah.
But the blue one, the blue one's interesting slightly because, worrying about how many ideas they have is something. A little bit. It's a little bit of something. Because there's only so many. At the same time, there's always at least 5 different colours used in total per paint job, and it's a shift between having 2 being the main ones or 3 being the main ones, and there's so many different combinations of colours and also combinations of textures, and even then, the blue one looks like it's using a texture that hasn't been used before anyway. It's like a new sort of weird texture for the primary colour. So that's kind of neat.
Yes.
I mean, I could take a quick look at them again to try and notice if that's the only one that uses a new texture, and I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I think I've only seen them in a passing glance. I've not really studied the frameworks, not skins rather.
Skins.
Gurskin. Oh, I love Gurskin.
Yeah. Okay, from our favourite person, Velvet. This is good. Honestly, they should go back to doing small updates every month or 2 to add new content. The game was better and felt better like that instead of 6 months, 12 now, lol. Seasonal updates. We don't need 10 bajillion things added at once, but 1 or 2 things from time to time keep the player base busy with something to do or to aim for. Well, I think you could achieve this same effect by having seasons only be once a year. And I think that's the point. I think... If we want to, I think we could be getting ahead of ourselves, but I think what's clear to me is that there's a move towards it being a middle ground, a split between the two, and I think that's to me is inherently better than where we were going. At least that's better than where we were going, and it might be better than where we were before seasons as well. I'm not sure. We'll have time will tell for that. Also, it's getting very dark. It's getting very crikey. Ooh. Darkness. But
it's
yeah,
getting darker earlier as well.
It is exactly. That's why we need to record it.
I forgot
it's
one
a combination.
time.
It's not just Tyler's fault, but there we go. I'm back.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I think a middle ground is preferable. A couple things
because they're not going to abandon seasons. I don't think.
Yeah.
I really don't think they are.
Obviously, that's the case. I think 1 or 2 things every 2 months isn't an ideal situation. It just means that people will get desensitized to those tiny little things.
Exactly.
And it just won't really go anywhere.
Yeah, and if they try to, because if they try to do that, you need to understand that if they tried to do an update every 2 months, it would be less than this, and less than this would just go over people's heads. This is a decent package with a decent weight, and it might not be in a vacuum, it might not be exactly proportionally correct, but it's better, and the updates will, if they actually force themselves to do them every 2 months, like that's like the longest they go without an update. Those updates are going to become extremely shallow, and thoughtless as well. This is something they've actually had time to think about and work on.
Yeah. And it's not going to be like the whole team working on something in 2 months either, right? They are like, from now on, you need to put road core in the thing. Like, this is just something you can't keep ignoring it. It is going to heavily affect the future of Deep Rock. Everything will be slower than you would like it to be, but tough. We're going to get another game out of it, hopefully. Right? At least that's what our mindset for now.
Yeah,
once
but also
road
the
cores
game
come out, then it'll be very easy to suck it up.
But based on this update alone, this is an update that is only adding. It's everything that's going to add is going to be good. I think it's almost guaranteed, and based on the type of additions as well, it's not going to really add into the technical debt at all either. And that's what impresses me about this kind of update, in the fact that we don't inherently need the type of content that seasons add every update. That's not what every update needs to be, and that's why I am. I'm very happy with this update. That's what I'm trying to say. I really am.
For now, I think maintenance updates going forward, if they continue to be a thing, which I really hope they do, because it's very interesting, could be used better than it is now. Now is the perfect thing for right now, but we won't need basically everything this is adding soon, right? Next maintenance, they can't really add and do anything they're doing right now other than weapon changes, right?
Yeah, literally, the second maintenance update is all it's as far unless they pull something out there, and it's really just going to be showing people that they still work on the game. That's what it's going to be.
Well, that's what I'm thinking though. Is all those things, that we say to each other, like, oh, I wish they'd get around to doing that, or wish they'd sort that out. Like, and we think more overhauls, but they probably wouldn't need to do that much. Like the beer situation, right? I feel like a maintenance update, specifically with the objective of sorting that out, could probably do it. They could probably knock that out in like a month of half a team's work, where they just kind of like sort the beers, the special daily beers out, if it maybe slightly change the system to improve it, or just fix it generally, and maybe add a couple new ones. Like, I think that could be done within that amount of time. It feels, considering the amount of stuff they look like they're going to be doing this time round, I think it's possible. And
yeah,
it'll be stuff like that.
So I want to see. I think these updates already, but and this is based on this one, obviously, but I think they deserve names. You know what I mean? I don't want to just call it the November maintenance update.
We'll give them.
But Tyler, I think this one's going to be the maintenance update though, because it's adding weapon maintenance.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that might be what we call it then. The weapon maintenance update. But yeah, and then next one, they can't really tackle the same areas, because ideally there would be no fixing of the Stingtail or the Rotpox or any of that required come next maintenance, right? Mm-hmm. Another thing is, I'm not sure, have they implied that like they're gonna patch this maintenance update? That there's like intentions of sticking around a little bit after to sort that out?
Yeah, I suppose that's an interesting thing,
like
isn't
they
it?
were going to just do it and then leave, weren't they?
Yeah, I think there'll be. Well, I think there's going to be a little bit of leeway, but for them to do that. But you look at it. What I was getting at just a few minutes ago is that I don't see why it would need that. It's kind of designed to just.
Harry, they're touching the fucking Stingtail again. They're going to break him. They're gonna break him. He's gonna teleport people to the ceiling.
Well, Tyler,
again.
I mean, I think part of their window that they've given for these probably includes probably at least a week afterwards, possibly, and it could still be a smaller. They could still move some people over before that as well. Like, but I think they will not have completely discounted the fact that they might have to do something after launch of it. I think they can. Yeah. It's going to be possible. It's not going to literally be abandoned, because the point of the maintenance updates is so they can leave it. So they're going to have to make sure the maintenance update has achieved that, and then if that means cleaning up some of the mess that update itself makes, that's just going to have to be how it is. They're going to have to do it, because the point of the maintenance updates is to do that, to make the game stable as well. It's just add things, I guess, is what they do now as well. So if they have to fix it, then they're going to have to fix it, because it needs to. It's just how it needs to be. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
but we shall see. I think.
we shall see.
I
Anyway,
still don't know how they keep doing it. Like we're just constantly just next thing we'll know. Like it was like next season we'll finally figure it out. Like next season is important. Next season, and now it's like next maintenance update. Next maintenance update we'll get it. Next season we will know. And
it doesn't.
it's
It
just the
feels a
motherfuckers.
little bit. I don't know. I guess it's just not as bad. As in, I don't feel as bad about that because it was just like before.
It's
It
not
was
necessarily a bad thing.
well, no, because but it's not. That's
just
like
for
that's
us.
what I mean. It's not inherently bad. That's why it's not bad because this time
Yeah.
it's just not bad. It's just like it's more so we can just wait and see now instead of being like we just wait and see what's going to happen rather than waiting to see if the game's fucked or not. That's what it kind of used to feel like a little bit. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it really
It was
now
like,
it
is
feels
this
like
next season going to be as bad or worse than this
Yeah.
one? Because it feels like it might be. We'll see come next season. And then it was. Then it did get worse. And then
Update.
now they've completely changed things up.
Update. Things got worse.
Yeah. But yeah, now things are looking different, very different. It was different, and now it looks better. Now things are looking fucking up.
Anyway,
as far as yeah,
from I'm gonna need to short your name. User WH8. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. This is great to see. They are finally bending the knee. You put that in quotes and making changes that people are actually asking for. Maybe it's quoting us. Unfortunately, the season toggle doesn't solve the problem for me. I only join other people's servers because my internet connection isn't the best. I'll be at the mercy of everyone else's seasonal progress. I'm already level 580 on the performance pass, so I'm just playing for fun and helping people do their assignments. Hopefully there will be a trend of people advertising their servers as a Rockbox disabled or something. Although now I'm less inclined to play in Greenbeard lobbies. This is still a huge step in the right direction, and nerfs to Rockbox itself will make lithophage missions more bearable. Well, I've got something to say. You probably play too much. First of all, but it doesn't. It speaks to things that could be real. So the basically how things are dictated in terms of when you join a lobby. I think the natural assumption is that it's dictated by the host. Obviously, right? It's their mission. That will be how things work in terms of if it's going to be like season on or season off. But then see the weird thing about that is that talking into season
essentially
off, that's going to affect like what missions are available to a certain extent.
Yeah, there's essentially going to be two maps.
Yeah,
right. Be one with Rockpox, where there's going to be two things taken up with Rockpox, and those are going to have increased, chances of being lithophage infection, and the ones that aren't that are going to have increased, meteorite chance of that. But then there's going to be the non-Rockpox ones, which don't have any of that, and that's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be
Because
weird.
it essentially means that there are like two biomes more worth of different like missions. There's two more biomes of missions essentially that they're going to have to render, or create, which is very new. Like, they've not increased the amount of missions available in a while.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Anyway, yeah. So, from internet yesterday, are they going to fix armor breaking? Well, maybe I should just say what I said first. Which is, lol, definitely not. That shit is ocean floor deep in the game's code. They just need to remove the broken examples and replace them with different mods, which I still believe. By the way, I still believe that. But then obviously our boy Anders swoops in for the kill and says, I think we're looking into it. Our external testers are helping us a lot with getting to the bottom of it. Not sure if it's going into this update or the next. Well, I would, if it's going to happen, I'd probably expect next update. I would hope they'd make a bit more point of it if it was going to be in it, because it is kind of a big deal. I guess maybe they don't want it to be a big deal. Maybe they don't want people to know about it who are like new. I think probably a lot of new people who don't know about this. But I've sort of landed in the position where I just think they should just change what those mods are. Clearly, they're just not going to work. They're just not going to work for the weapons that they're for. Stop trying. Is what I mean. I actually don't think it's worth trying. Genuinely, I'd rather see more interesting, like the PGL one, which is a bit more specific. Yes, but the point is, the PGL one is not only is it a broken arm breaking mod, it's competing with incendiary compound, right? So fixing that is not going to make it picked. That's what I mean. So I just think there needs to be some kind of, if that's being considered at all, I hope it's being considered. I hope more than one option is being considered other than them just trying to fix it again, because I don't think it's going to work this time, much like it hasn't worked the last few dozen times they've tried to fix it. So maybe think of something else. That's my position on that, at least.
I think they should double down. Add more broken overclocks so it doesn't look as bad. Or
Overclocks?
mods.
Yeah.
They just add a bunch of mods that literally they're just pictures where you click on them, and like they don't actually do anything at all to the gun. So it really distracts everyone from the issue at hand, being the broken armor breaking mods. I think that's the best shout going forward.
I think they should add more like broken mods with like different effects, like broken fire mods and things like that, and broken ice mods.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I think they should put like ice on the stubby.
They should make an overclock for a gun where it gives it like a 0.01% chance of insta killing any enemy, and then have it not have that chance at all, and just see how long it takes for people to notice it.
That is so devious.
The issue is they discover it like instantly because they jump in the code because they're a bunch of nerds.
I love that. I love that idea. I think that's hilarious.
Preferably, it would be on like a really slow firing weapon, so it would take them ages. So it'd be like maybe the PGL basically, and it would be like you would have to shoot like 10,000 of them for it to be like unreasonable not to get one.
It should be real. It should be real, but it never happens. It never.
Yeah.
The chances are real, but they're so low that it just doesn't happen to anyone.
Yeah, until it does, and it like insta kills a grunt. Like it's like a grunt guard. It's like yay. But people will just keep shooting dreadnoughts with it. It's
a fucking what is it? The Maroon's Razor from Skyrim. The dagger, the Daedric dagger, where it has like a chance to insta kill. It never does.
It's like that.
Yeah.
But it actually doesn't have a chance because Bethesda forgot to add that, and that's what I'm hoping they do in Deeproc. That's the thing I want them to add in the next maintenance update. Stuff. just like stuff where it's like, oh, a really low chance of this cool thing occurring, but it just doesn't exist. It's not happening.
That's not very nice.
Like maybe there's this box where you can like donate error cubes, and there's like a chance of something occurring, but nothing occurs, and you just put all your error cubes in it, and you just lose them all.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Yeah. Watch this. Sun magic.
You are so fucking framey. What the hell?
That's what happens. Anyway, I don't know what. We have one more comment. All right. It's from and it's on the weird little thing I put out about the skulls. It's from Aid1 7368. Ghost Ship is on top of it now. We actually have an event XP multiplier that isn't just copy pasted. I guess. But I think that was always the point. I think the point is some of them are just static objects, and they put some effort into a couple of them. And the ones that they did, they still have different ways of moving, and that's just kind of where it ends. I don't think the best worst beer mug is going to be updated to fly around and get you drunk. Although it should.
No, I think it should.
That's a brilliant idea, but
actually, I don't think it should fly around. I think it should just ominously hover, like just like. And it will like come to a stop.
If it made you intensely drunk while you held it, you could
like
I mean, the elf
barrel,
the Christmas elf really should freeze you though when you think about it.
Yeah, that makes equal amounts of sense.
But it makes more sense than the skull.
Yeah, the Easter Bunny one should just attack you. Should literally just book it towards you and beat the shit out of you.
Like it should be a kangaroo instead then.
Yeah. I think kangaroos are associated with Easter. I think, aren't they? That feels like something.
What?
I don't know. I'm thinking because why am I thinking that?
Yeah, why are you thinking that? You darn fool.
Interesting conundrum. But one for another day.
Another
For
day,
I believe
another dog.
we are done here. As he said in the movie with the people in it,
What?
and what's
Oh
his name?
right, it was. Oh right, it was for Ragnarok, wasn't it? Another day, another
Yeah,
dog.
the movie with the fella
What you?
who's one of the
Jeff
weirdest
Goldblum.
people. That's the one. You
Yeah,
knew who I was on about because
because you said weird.
he is like just yeah he is one of the weirdest famous people easily.
Yeah.
But like not like because of like Tom Cruise who's like in a weird cult or anything like evil or suspicious like that. He's just a weird person who is just an actor. Point is, love him.
Love Jeff Goldblum. Love Deep Rock. Love.
The maintenance update. Alright. Harry, get your finger out your mouth. Stop it, Harry.
What?
Down here. Come on.
We need to end. Yeah, sorry.
Say goodbye.
I was just no. I think I needed to have a moment there to realize that really need to end it because I'm just going to go insane otherwise. I'm just going to start.
Just fucking end it, Harry.
It's the problem
Just
is
end your life.
If you enjoyed this episode of the hold on. If you enjoyed this episode of the Battle Vision podcast, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to keep up to date with anything and everything to do with Deep Rock and Roadcore, then you can also click the bell.
Goodbye.
Goodbye!